Kevin.
And here we are. We took a couple weeks off, so it's nice to kind of get back into our swing of podcasts. And you and I both had a lot of stuff going on, and it's nice to be back in front of each other.
Oh, it is. Definitely keep this going, trying to stay on top of it as much as we can. We have a few more things happening in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully we can stay on top of it weekly, but we'll see how it all plays out. It's been tons of fun.
It has. And we also have a new Loam Lander member, partner, groupie, just keep us in track person that we're going to be hopefully introducing in our podcast here shortly. So we don't even know if he wants to do a podcast. So maybe we should find that out first.
I think that was part of the signing up. He just doesn't know.
That's right. That's just part of what it is. And now that he hopefully will hear this this week, he'll already be pre-warned that this is on its way.
I think he may actually just do the podcast by himself. Maybe you and I should take the week off.
I think that'd be fantastic. He's definitely skilled at all things, social and social media style stuff. So I think that it shouldn't be too far out of his wheelhouse. But
we should watch him do it alone.
I think that's a good idea. And maybe just sit really close, close enough that he knows we're there, but far enough away that we can't be seen. There you go. That's it. That's perfect.
We got it.
That's right. So, well, Kevin, we are just coming back from a pretty fun weekend. We just finished out the race series with Northwest Cup and had the final race this past weekend. I had a lot of fun. How about you guys? What did you think about it?
It was awesome. I think it might've been my favorite race of the season. Not necessarily the best results for all of us, but it was still just like such a great event. Northwest Cup. Thank you. Volunteers, medics were very busy.
Oh my.
Oh geez. They're crazy busy. But just everybody in general, it's just a great time. The atmosphere, my little ambulance in the background is finally operational to sleep in. So we got to be part of the camping scene in a sense, right? And that's always fun. And
yeah,
it was a great weekend. Rhonda came out. So it was just good to have the whole family there. Jai works, but everybody else, it was just a good time. And it was awesome. I don't even know where to go.
I know there's so much to say. I mean, and I don't know. I think that the ambulance probably got more comments than anyone else or anything else did. I think that whole weekend. So it was pretty well received.
Your trailer needs to be done soon.
So I got a few things done yesterday. Got ceiling pretty much done, and all the insulation on the walls are done, and starting work on floors. It's getting closer and closer to the next step, which is going to be the next big project. But
yeah.
I'm with you. We had to come out and visit you guys at the campsite to pick up some stuff, and we'll talk about that drama a little bit later. But
forgot about that.
Oh man. But it was it was just fun to see you guys there, and we wish we would have been able to hang out more. But we were at the hotel again, and it was fine. It's kind of a it's not someplace I'd stay every night, but it works just fine for when we go to Northwest Cup. But we'd love to have our trailer done.
Definitely.
I was super excited to get the one of the other sides of Loam Lander to hang out with us a bit. Thanks, Rhonda, for joining us. It was super fun. I hope you guys really enjoyed it, and that you'll come back and play with us more that way. But my background is very similar. Northwest Cup. We gave Cruz and Jake the camera and some microphones, and they went around and interviewed a bunch of people, and it's pretty funny. We're going to be releasing that video soon, but if you get a chance to check it out, it's going to be so worthwhile. Well worth your time. We'll have it on our Loam Lander YouTube channel, and then I'm sure it'll be on Backyard Shredder and Cruz's YouTube channel as well. But it's pretty funny. It was fun to see what kind of responses they got out of a lot of different racers there at the race, and they have some interesting questions to ask. So a little tease, but you definitely should check that out soon.
Yeah, it's good. Very random.
It is very random. It's what you'd expect to get out of those two.
Yeah, and then Sawyer in the background jumped in and was part of that as well. So it's a good little trio running around.
It is. Yeah, it's pretty funny, and just to get their varied responses is pretty. Yeah, it's just funny. So let's kind of work our way through the weekend. We had a lot that happened, both medically, quite a few medical pieces that were fun, I guess. We got to enjoy some technical. Brendan needs to learn how to weld better stories, and the race itself. And so maybe Kevin, I'll let you kick it off. I know your start started early and late due to your working on the ambulance, and maybe give kind of the run through of what it took for you to actually get to the race.
Yeah, my goal with the ambulance was to have the rear bed done, which you can kind of see above your head.
Yeah.
That way Rhonda and I could sleep up there. Kelly sleeps down the side. It worked. That part worked good. But I wanted basic power. I needed to charge like a cell phone or basic lights inside. So we didn't have any heat in there all weekend. Actually, there's no insulation. Still work on that. But I was literally 1:30 in the morning finishing up the ambulance, and that's Friday morning. And practice was what, 10?
Yeah,
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
in Port Angeles, which is a 3-hour drive for me, counting the ferry ride. Maybe less, 2.5. But anyways, so stayed up late, getting that done, cleaning out the ambulance as much as possible, shoving tools in just the random drawers, and got that going. And then I had this really good dream. Right? I'm sleeping, and I have this really good dream. My bad habit is coffee. And so in my dream, my alarm goes off, and I remember my alarm going off. I must have turned it off. And in my dream, I'm sitting there drinking this amazing cup of coffee. And the only reason why I actually woke up was because I was trying to determine if I should have a second cup. And all of a sudden I wake up and I was like, wait, I don't have any cup. Wait, I got to be out the door in 15 minutes.
Holy cow.
So originally Rhonda was going to come with us, but obviously she's not going to get up in 15 minutes. And even Keller, I was impressed that he got out the door, throwing bikes in there, throwing our clothes in there. Luckily we had it all packed because we stayed up till 1:30 in the morning.
Right.
So it was just kind of a zoo. We made the boat that we wanted to catch. It was just that's how the morning started after like 3-4 hours of sleep.
Wow. That's crazy. We didn't have any of those same style of events for us to get in. We had everything pretty much packed up the night before and loaded bikes in the morning and drove up. And I tell you, we were extremely excited to see that red ambulance saving all those spots for us all. I just loved where we parked over the past 3 races there. It's like the perfect spot. It's not too far away from everything. You get to see all your buddies walk up and down the road there. And it was just awesome to have kind of that central meeting area. And that's kind of what it felt like to me is it was, kind of our normal little riding group plus, a bunch of other friends that were constantly in and out. And it was just good.
It was definitely good times.
I remember taking many pictures of just endless bikes sitting in front of that little pop-up tent, and thinking whose bikes are all of these. I only know, my family's and a few others, but it was super, super fun.
Yeah. And it was a good turnout. The weather held off actually the entire weekend for us. At least for the Cat 3 racers.
Yeah.
It was good. It rained hard on Saturday night, but
it did.
It needed it because it wasn't dusty on Sunday.
No, in fact, the trail was much better.
But that was not a bad thing for us,
right? Not for me. I mean, I was as slow as I could be anyway, and the places that I was fast were the places I was going to be fast anyway, and the places I was really slow. It wouldn't matter if the track conditions were perfect.
Yeah.
So Friday was a pretty good start to the day. We Cat 3 wise had some pretty good runs. In fact, my boys, Beckham and Oliver had some really good runs on Friday, and really we're feeling pretty confident, pretty good. And then the afternoon of Cat 2 practice started, and it started out pretty good. I thought things were going well. I check in with Cruz and Jake on an occasion as they were standing in line for the truck, and they seemed to be going well. And all of a sudden, at the end of I think it was the last lap they actually could have even taken, Cruz comes up with a bandaged finger, and we find out that he split his finger open pretty good. So 7 stitches later and about 5 hours worth of sitting at different medical facilities, Instacare, ER, a bunch of other stuff. They finally got it stitched together. And unfortunately, his race weekend was done.
What was it, Bobby, that said it looked like flayed steak?
Yeah.
It was a wide cut and deep.
It was. And it was, I mean, it's kind of weird too, because he has, I guess, a weird flap of skin that was just kind of just filleted off. And that's what they're nervous the most about. Had that piece of skin been a little thicker where it got cut, he probably would have been just fine racing. But they were nervous that that flap of skin, because it was just sutured so thinly together, wasn't going to hold, and then he'd have to go get stitches again. So, like I say, his race weekend was over. Unfortunately, it's been kind of Cruz's curse of the Northwest Cup. He still is yet to have that complete race. And it will happen next season. And honestly, he'll be way faster anyway. So it's not fully a bad thing, but issues in life teach us lessons. And I still am a firm believer that, as we go through different things, that it eventually will make us stronger and better. And we can either rise to the top or sink to the bottom. It just is up to us at that point.
He's determined.
He is.
He wants to hit the end of the, he wants to just finish a clean, hard race and just came close so many times. He'll have it real soon.
Oh,
and
yeah.
If anybody's listening, if I can do a shout out for anybody who wants to help Cruz do enduro. You hear that, Cruz? Enduro.
Cruz he would be
killer.
amazing.
He can climb. He has endurance. He can do downhill. Like, man, I really believe he should try it.
I do too. And then I'm sure that we'll get him there.
Enduro.
Right. Cruz, here, listen. He is a really good rider from both climbing and descending. So I was telling Caden and Kevin that they needed to just kind of keep on pushing and poking and telling him that that's what he needs to do. A side story to the hospital visit. So long story short, I've been toying with different things on how to do our bike rack for our van, especially with the trailer build. And I've been learning some lessons. Like I'm a person that's not afraid to screw up, and I'm not afraid to try stuff. Sometimes my trials is when I don't know anything. And this is a pretty good example of that. I built a swing out arm that, I welded into my bumper and I thought was super strong. And a few weeks prior, we were actually out riding with the Spoke X guys, who we need to do a podcast with because they're pretty fun. But the swing out was pretty strong, and its connection to the vehicle was really strong. What I didn't anticipate is that the spindle for the swing out would bend, and at the weight of all the bikes on it, it did. And we were driving up a fire road, and all of a sudden the bike rack fell off, which was not cool. It was kind of embarrassing. And I thought, okay, that embarrassment's over, right? I've already experienced this. This is all good. And I ordered a new bike rack. But with COVID and shipping, which we talked about on our last podcast, obviously shipping's a big deal. And it didn't show up in time for the Northwest Cup, and we needed to get all our bikes there. So I said, okay, that's fine. I can just, fix my old bike rack and get it on the van, and we should be good. And so I welded it up and thought, okay, I've got pretty good welds here. It should be nice. Well, long story short, we were driving over to the urgent care. We stopped suddenly because the car in front of us stopped suddenly. All of a sudden, the bikes fall off the back of the van. The whole rack just snaps. Like, oh, crap. So Cruz and Tatum walk the extra block down to urgent care, and Beckham and Oliver and I start pulling bikes off of the street. And luckily, nothing was too damaged. Oliver's brake handles were a little bent, and I bent those back, and he needed a new rotor. And thanks, Bobby, for having a rotor. That saved my bacon. But beyond that, the bikes were fine. Anyways, it was just another I just, feel like you got something figured out, and all of a sudden you get taught a lesson pretty quickly. And luckily nothing was too crazily injured. But I did get we got the chance to go visit Kevin and Bobby at the campsite. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was a cool spot. You're also Russian though. So the reason why Tatum and Cruz took off is because the urgent care is about to close.
It was. Yeah.
So
we had 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it went then, because, if we were going 60 miles down the road and all of a sudden it goes, then it's a completely different story for bikes. So
True.
Count your blessings. And I'm so thankful that Rhonda drove your Subaru with your Lolo rack on the back, and that you let me borrow it for now a week. But thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Me waking up late was the best thing that happened because it made Rhonda drive.
Yeah, and we would have gotten bikes home, but man, it would have been a miserable experience.
And I was originally going to put the Lolo rack on the ambulance, but because I woke up late, it just didn't really work out that way. So everything worked out perfect. You got to borrow the Lolo rack, which held the bikes.
Yes, very strongly. It didn't go anywhere. We were good from that point.
But yeah, there's a cool little campsite we're at. We're out at Extreme Motorsports, I think is what it's called. And they have
that place is crazy.
Ditch bow racing. They're building like hill climbs for, 4-wheel drive Jeeps and quads. And it's just, they have huge plans for that area. And it's just tons of fun, crazy stuff going on. I don't know. It was a party all night.
Yeah. It fits so well with the, all the mountain bike trails literally across, like what, mile away.
Yeah.
If you are an outdoor enthusiast, like Port Angeles is really starting to show up for some extreme style sports, and it's pretty fun. Yeah. That place was busy. I was just, I don't know, shocked with how many different people were there. Like it was packed.
And the camping there is no hookups, but if it's just for the weekend, I don't need hookups.
No. Well, once we both get our vehicles done, I mean, honestly, we're designing them in a way that they are, off grid friendly. Mm-hmm. So
at least for a weekend,
Yeah. It's I can't wait until we get them all set up where we can all go really play together.
Definitely.
Okay. So that was Friday. And we all went our separate ways, and it was a good, for what it was, a good end to the night. And then of course Saturday comes, and maybe lead off your Saturday.
Well, my Saturday is probably a little different than yours.
Yeah.
Just waking up. It was, again, no insulation, no heater because I didn't have time. It was a little cold, but it was fine.
Yeah.
Wake up early, head up the hill, make sure we get our spots, and get up there. And it's always like get bikes prepared. The air's out in this one. Okay, put more air. Every time, no matter what you do, you're always doing tweaking something on the bikes. So that's the other reason why I like to get there early, because I know that's going to happen either on my bikes or someone else's bike.
Was it Saturday or Friday that you did the headset on Keller's bike?
Oh, you're right. So that was my Saturday too.
Yeah, it was your Saturday.
So shout out to Dylan for multiple reasons. Shout out to him first for Dylan up at a transition. Shout out for bringing the headset to us. Messaged him. He's like, I'll just bring one to the Northwest Cup. So Keller needed a new headset.
And needed is like very, very soft, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of crunchy bearings. Well, the truth is the bearing cup was literally cut. It'd be the bearing cup? I guess it'd be. Yeah. The bearing itself was cut in half.
Were there any ball bearings left? I mean,
yeah, there was like 3/4 of them.
Good. Okay, that's better than none.
Of course, it actually wore edges on the headset cup. So luckily, he brought me the whole kit. So we popped out some headsets and popped in with the 2x4, the old school way. Awesome. So shout out to him. Thank you. The bike was so much better. And then with that, Alden Pate was there.
Mm-hmm.
Pate or Plate?
I don't recall.
Alden from Beham.
Yes.
Shout out. You helped set up my suspension as well as Keller's, and it was like a 9-day difference. I'm not a suspension guru. That kind of goes over my head for when it comes to expertise. But he helped out with some simple fixes, and you're just like, oh, that makes so much sense. And it was awesome. The bikes rode amazing. But the other shout out to Dylan is to heal quickly, man. He was one of the many that went down and the medics took care of.
Mm-hmm.
He went down extremely hard.
He had, from what I heard, one of
injuries.
The biggest wrecks of the weekend.
And I think it might have been his first or second lap when he got there. Like literally gave us the headset, did his lap. So heal quickly. I appreciate everything to you and the transition. You guys are rad. Keep it. Yeah. Just heal quickly.
Right. All right, man.
So that's my beginning. I'll let you jump in and then I'll talk about my laps.
Yeah, it was pretty wild that way. As far as wrecks, as far as the course conditions for the Cat 2. So Cat 2, they practiced in the morning, and everyone we were talking to was saying the Cat 2 conditions were changing. It seemed like every run. You get a new pothole, you get a new dig, you get something going on at every different, corner. And I'd heard that there were 7 broken collarbones, maybe 8, broken hips, rib injuries, all kinds of stuff. And it's awful. Especially because a lot of these riders are just giving their all in their practice runs to help find their fastest lines, or, weave in between a rock and a stump, or all kinds of other stuff. And they're just going for it. It's amazing that that's something that they have the innateness to do, because to me, I'm not going to lie, I don't necessarily push myself extremely hard on some of those practice runs. Usually I push myself the hardest on the race run just because I say this is my one run. But it's a true grit of an athlete, and it's, somewhat the expectation in mountain bike world that we're doing something hard, and unfortunately sometimes the bad results come out of it.
Yeah. Heal quickly, buddy. Thanks.
Yeah. Yes. And talk about customer service, but beyond that, just good rider interaction is super cool.
Yeah.
So like I say, our race morning, was pretty mellow. We didn't have to necessarily rush out to get to Cat 2 practice, because the rest of our family was riding Cat 3, and that was this in the afternoon. But we weren't too late. I think we were only, I don't know, we got there about 9:00, 9:30. Maybe it wasn't even that late. And we were able to, once again, get bikes out, get things set up, start, making a few modifications. I had to, get Oliver's bike sorted out with that drop off the rack. And, it's pretty low key. It's kind of fun just to sit there and just chat with everyone and get some time together. So, and then we had our Saturday afternoon practice, and that went pretty well. I think that actually the Saturday afternoon practice Saturday afternoon was the first Northwest Cup afternoon that I spent riding by myself, not chasing a kid.
You had to push yourself on speed a little bit more, and
I did. It was nice. I also got to see how freaking out of shape I am. My quads were just killing me. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I need to actually work out like weights and everything, but I've never done that in life. So I need to kind of figure that out.
We're getting old.
We are. But we still think we're 16. If you don't believe us, hang out with Kevin, Bobby, and I for about an hour, and you'll see that 16-year-old in us is alive and well.
We're mentally 16.
We are, for sure. But it was fun. Oliver and Tatum got some really good laps in, and Beckham and Blake, just spent the whole day riding together. And it's so fun when your kids start to branch out a little bit. It's just, I don't know, it's just a blast.
Yeah.
And then we had a team Loamer that went down. That
was on Saturday.
It was on Saturday. I can't remember what we were doing, but all of a sudden we saw Kevin Jorgensen come across and said, "Hey, Caden went down, and they think he broke his collarbone." And sure enough, he did. But he was in really good spirits about it.
The entire time, he's just super laid back and relaxed. He actually was the exact same demeanor he always is.
He was, yeah, super
still
chill,
cheering everybody on, just with an arm,
right?
One arm.
Caden is funny. I felt like this trip I got to know Caden a lot better. And he has like the most random little sayings that come out of him. And I joked with, I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was like, "Hey, Caden just needs to write a book of Cadenisms, and we should publish it because they're random little pieces of gem." It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was good times. My day it started with a couple laps with Keller before his friend showed up. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I'm going to follow you because I'm going to clear these top 2 jumps. And I was able to clear the first one, and I cleared the second one once, but never together.
Mm-hmm.
But I see where Keller gained all his speed. Because if you land those 2 jumps smoothly, the amount of speed that you carry to the next is unbelievable. I was like, I'm literally right on his tail.
Right.
And then he hits that jump and he gained 5 feet from me. And he hit the next jump and he's 10, 15 feet ahead of me. I'm like, whoa.
Just gone.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's like, okay, what am I going to do at that speed? Because some of those you come right into a corner, and that's where I get, fingeritis, I guess. My brakes just start applying themselves with no thought. And all of a sudden I've slowed down to the point where it's like, well, what was the point of gaining any speed anyway? Because I just took it all away.
That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
I'd love to get better at cornering. I was watching a video of Jake and Cruz earlier this week, and just watching how they move their bodies in the corner. And it reminded me, I stay way too square on my bike. I need to move myself on the bike more.
And move the bike, lay it over a little more.
Right.
Which is, so also this entire weekend was the first time that Keller and I both raced downhill bikes.
That's true.
Like full big bikes.
That made a huge difference. I was trying, like, the upper section I feel pretty quick at. And I know in the past I could be right with you, that whole upper section. This time you were gone. Like gone.
It made a difference, but it's also, I still need to trust my bike and lay it over more in the corners.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's the same thing. It's just moving your body, moving your bike, and trusting your tires. We both ride Maxxis. Trust your Maxxis.
Trust your Maxxis. It's just, I don't know. It's something about, I guess maybe in some part of my growing up, I must have laid the bike down way too many times that I just don't trust it. But yeah, so
we have all off season.
That's right. I've got time. I can figure it out. I've only got, how old was that? The oldest rider that was there is going into the 70 plus category, riding downhill. Yeah. So we've got plenty of time, 30 years to figure it out. It's all good.
Yeah.
So that was Saturday. I can't think of anything else eventful that really happened on Saturday.
No, it's just, I actually really enjoy the practice days, mainly because we get up there, we practice, Cat 2 goes, the kids go practice, but it's another day of just kind of hanging out. It's more relaxed. Race day is a little different, where you're kind of scattered a little bit more.
Right.
On practice day, everybody's still hanging out. As I mentioned before, Rhonda came, so she actually got to experience what we do. It's kind of like another campsite, but up on the hill. Mm-hmm. Everybody again at Northwest Cup, you guys did an amazing job as always. Volunteers, medics, everybody. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's a big undertaking to get these things put together, and it's impressive. I know that sometimes we give them a hard time because they start late or something weird happens, but to be honest, as smooth as things went, it really shows the amount of time and effort they put into putting together a good system and a good show, basically.
With that too, is we're walking around together. It was probably on race day also, but even on practice day, we're walking around and all the people with Loam Lander hats was actually really cool to see.
Wasn't it?
We're trying to count the people that we don't know with Loam Lander hats. I mean, that was really cool to see.
Yeah.
And then GGR shows up, with their jerseys, and there's one right there. In the back is Loam Lander. So there's 50 kids running around with and adults with Loam Lander on the back of the jersey, and it's just so much fun to see. It's
awesome.
From nothing to where we're at now is just super cool and a fun story. And
I know I had that moment, and I pointed it out to you at either Saturday or Sunday, where I was like, just look around here. They're everywhere. And it's kind of that pride moment, I guess. It's one of those things where you kind of see what you've been working together. And while it, doesn't mean that everyone has a airbag that's wearing a hat, it was nice to see our brand being,
yes, because
being out
it is
there.
A brand. More coming to that.
Yeah. And that's, I don't know. It's just super fun. Northwest Cup had some nice vendors that were there too, that we got to know a little bit better. And it's good to see the support that they're getting from their affiliate vendors. That was pretty cool. And,
last year they only had one race, but the COVID restrictions prevents a lot of people from showing up, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of nice to see that starting to open up a little bit more. I can see a lot more vendors popping up in the near future, hopefully next year.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, it was, I mean, they maxed out their capacity. They had a huge wait list of people who wanted to ride, and it happened for a lot and it didn't happen for some.
Yeah.
So race day, we learned some lessons this race day that hopefully we'll remember next time. And that especially is related to what time our boys should go to bed the night before. So Oliver, all three of his Northwest Cups this season, has had his worst days on race day, and we finally figured it out. And it's mostly our fault because it's usually like 10, 30, 11 before people finally get, down and asleep at wherever we're staying. And over three days of that, it eventually takes a toll. And unfortunately, those tend to be Sunday morning when the breakdowns happen. For Oliver, especially, he had a rough morning. Didn't get breakfast before his practice lap. The good and bad thing is, as we were getting in line to get on the truck, they were giving instructions to basically say, "Hey, look, the course conditions have changed. So don't treat this like a practice run. Treat this like a sight run, like you're just trying to determine the conditions." And Oliver took that to heart, and he just really struggled on that run. Like he just needed to have a normal run, which for him would be a normal run and kind of a sightseeing run for most. But it kind of, took his aggression out of what normally he'd want to have in a race run. But I'll talk about his race here in a few minutes. But it was, just a good normal start to the day. But we learned that our boys need more sleep, a lot more sleep.
I get not stressed, but I get hyper focused. I think is a better way of saying it. I got up on the hill. I felt like it was early, but still trying to get the bikes ready, trying to get tires on, like just that little stuff. And then Keller didn't want the GoPro in the very last second. Can I have the GoPro?
Right.
So then I'm like, with me being hyper focused, I'm like focused on something else to get accomplished so I can get ready or somebody, fix something or whatever I'm doing. And so I was like, so, I kind of get distracted with that. So I need to get on the hill earlier, I think, to slow myself down.
Right. Well, what's hard is you just can't anticipate all the stuff that's going to come at you. Usually, I mean, what I noticed for you is usually it's one of Keller's friends that has an emergency bike need at the end, like literally the last minute. And is it emergency bike need at the last minute? No, it's probably been going on for like weeks and months, but all of a sudden it's a emergency bike need. And so, figuring out tires or derailleur wasn't a derailleur that happened this time.
Yeah, often fought a derailleur on Saturday.
Yeah.
He ended up calling it, just couldn't get the parts or whatever they're running into there.
Oh, did he not ride?
He did not race on Sunday.
Oh, that sucks.
He just went home.
Man.
Hopefully to fix the bike and move forward from there.
Right. Well, that's rough. But it's hard. I run in the same things. You feel like you always have something that's going to show up or pop up in the last second. And that's what gets me kind of anxious. It's more of anxiety for me. It's like, what? I just got this ready. I'm good to go. And then all of a sudden something crazy happens and my mind goes nuts.
Yeah. And then for us, like we got up there on one of the first trips up for practice. We did a good job at that. But by the time we got down, we had like 10 more minutes to make sure we're ready and then get back up on the hill for our race run.
Yeah. It's pretty quick for the old men division. But I don't know. I love that feeling when we're all at the top and it's just a bunch of, dads. Cat 3 dads. Yeah. And I don't know. It's kind of like this group when we're all kind of getting to know each other a little bit now where we can joke around and we've at least seen each other 3 or 4 or 5 times. And, it was fun. It's just fun. And there's usually like a Brian or Adrian with some quirky, smarky remark in the background, Right. Brian commuting from Montana for every race, stuff like that. Yeah, it's just awesome. Yeah. And Adrian you never know what's going to come out of his mouth. No, you don't. And so you're always prepared. And if it's, if it's clean, then you have had a good day. And if it's not, it's probably funny still. It probably is, yes. Oh, it's I don't know. It's always just a good environment, and it's interesting to see as time has progressed how many of these dads now are moving into the next stage. This was Bobby's first race, which was so fun. And I think we'll get him to tell us at some point exactly what his true feelings were on it. But I think he really enjoyed it. I think that honestly, it was nice for him to have some time that was not just hanging out, waiting for Jake to come down or, kind of figuring that kind of stuff out, which we do anyway, because especially with the different times of racing. But I don't know. It just seemed like he really had a good time.
You got to hang out with all the Cat 3 dads.
Yeah, it was great. It really is pretty low key, especially when you get into our age range. Like most of us are just excited to get from the top to the bottom and do it as fast as we feel like we possibly can. But I don't know. It's not a whole lot of, hey, you need to step it up to beat everyone, because I don't know. Me personally, I just don't care.
And I think Bobby had a personal goal. He didn't really talk about it. We'll let him talk more about it, but I think his personal goal he didn't talk about was not to be last. And he wasn't.
And he wasn't. No.
And it's not because of DNFs. He actually was faster than others.
Right.
Actually, it was the wrong way of saying that.
No, it's
but that was his goal. Like, this is his very first race. He pushed himself. Sounds funny, but I'm proud of the guy.
No, it was great. And it was just fun. Like, I don't know. We go back to Saturday practice, and once again, Tatum had Oliver. And so that 16-year-old, like, it was just fun hanging out with your friends.
Yeah.
And that's how it felt the whole time. And it was fun racing with all of our friends.
Next time Tatum needs a race.
She does. She's nursing a sore back. But she asked how many people were in her category. I think there were only 4. So, I mean, she missed out on another good opportunity to podium.
Yeah.
Next time. So race runs. How'd you feel about your race run?
Well, practice, I don't think we ever truly did a full hard lap. We just, for whatever reason, either ran into racers or mechanical error or whatever, right? We just ran into racers wrong, because catching up to a little bit slower crowd who's more maybe inspecting the track where we're trying to race it, all that kind of fun stuff on practice. But
right.
So come race run, I felt really fast out of the gate. 2 kids were in the middle of the trail in corner number 1, get out of the trail.
Ooh.
I wish I had my GoPro on because I could find out who they were. Mm-hmm. So I'm yelling at them going down the trail, get out of the trail, and they just kind of wander off the trail. Oh my goodness. I don't think they've slowed me down, but just my eye, probably because I knew they were there.
Mentally.
And that's on the very first straight, very first corner.
And honestly, we are so used to chasing kids, right?
Yeah.
And so you're constantly like, okay, when should I brake? Because I don't know if I'm going to wreck. I'm sure it had some effect.
Yeah. So anyway, but like, I felt good. I was like, oh, I'm coming in. Track was a little bit slower than actually the practice run I felt. So I come into that first table that I've been clearing because the Keller got me to the right speed and everything.
Right.
And I cased it so hard.
Oh,
which means I'm not clearing the others, which is fine. I had some corners that were amazing. And then I also had some corners that were so horrible. I'm like, what just happened there? There's that fun it's almost like a little pump section where it's just super fast and straight, but there's a couple little trees, and I hit it with my right hand and almost dead stopped, but I stayed on the bike. I was like, stopped. I said, what's going on here? Of course, you're in hard gear, so you're starting over again.
Right.
But the run itself was a blast. I made it to the end. The straightaways killed my legs. You can tell at the end of the race where I'm coming into the last corner. I'm coasting it. There's no more pedaling in me. But it was a fun run. I felt like the conditions were my favorite all weekend. It was not so dusty. It was a little grip in there. The big bike soaks everything up. So I'm proud of my run. I just know that I didn't put a full run together. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. I felt very similar on my run. The upper section, I actually feel pretty fast in. It's got a nice flow to it. I definitely, once again, I talked about cornering earlier. Cornering is like my nemesis. I just don't do a very good job of it. But the middle section of this course just has some really tight corners that I have not been able to figure out, especially one flat corner. I'm talking about Oliver's race run, but that's where he went down. And it was okay. But I do know that when I watch the video of me coming around the final 3 corners into the finish line, in my mind, I feel like I'm going really fast. But when I watch it, like it just does not look very fast. So it is what it is. But, in my mind, I feel like I'm flying, like I'm just cruising through it. And I feel like I'm going really, really well. And you watch it, it's like, holy cow. Is that the same experience?
It's that picture of you jumping that your son got. And you're like, oh, let me take a look at it. And you're like a foot off the ground. Right. So you feel like you're 8.
You felt huge. Like, holy cow, that's the biggest jump I've ever done. And then
I stop asking now. I'm going to feel the high.
Oh, for sure. So tall. Well, and not only that, but like, I don't know. Sometimes, it's good to look, because then you say, okay, that technique is terrible, but I'm exactly the same way. I don't even watch. I mean,
my technique, especially in big long corners, I catch myself being off too much weight back.
Yeah.
I don't center myself for some reason. I catch myself and I'm like heels down, butt back. I'm like, that's so stupid.
Right.
I need to be centered. And so that's something I need to definitely work on.
Well, I will. Once again, we've got 30 years to hone it in. We'll be good.
Yeah.
But it was good. I finished in the middle of the pack, which, not too bad. Not too bad.
It was good.
It was. How was Keller's run?
He did really good. I think he had the same situation as I did. Like he got done and he's like, I didn't have that good of a run. I had good stuff, but never a good run. Mm-hmm. He also mentioned that the track was a lot slower.
Yeah. So
maybe, do you pump up tires for speed, but then you lose traction? Like that's that, right? And It does make a difference when you add 2-3 pounds. So I think he cleared the first double, but not the second. And then there's sometimes where Keller just amazingly blows up every corner, like just kills it. And then he said he just didn't do good through the corners. And if you didn't do good in these corners, that's where you lost all your time and speed. But he was
in this course for sure.
Yeah, I think he's in the upper part of the middle of the pack.
That's great.
But he was there. His speed was there. For not going to all 5 races, I think he was he might be the same as me, actually. I think he was 8 overall.
That's fantastic.
So that tells you that he's in the top 15-ish every single time.
Mm-hmm.
So looking forward to next year. And then that's why I have him in this picture behind me, is just his technique is fun to watch, because he's never had true coaching except for me, which I'm not saying I'm a true coach at all. But look at him, like his eyes are up, his heels are down. You can't see that. He's loving his transition TR11, and he's just determined.
Right.
I don't know. I'm excited my GoPro. Okay, this is dad, a fault on me. The GoPro's been dead and I have not charged it, so I haven't watched his race run. So Dango mount, that's awesome. For those who like it down there, that's what I recommend.
Mm-hmm.
So today's project is actually to watch that and put it on my computer so I can see it on big screen.
Nice.
But it was just a good run. Like I felt like he did good. He was in a lot better spirits after this run.
Mm-hmm.
He actually told me afterwards too, like that he enjoyed this whole entire weekend better than all the others.
Oh, really?
So somehow he wasn't stressed. He wasn't, I don't know. I think he's understanding more what biking's about, which is not about being the fastest. And on race day, I'm like self-competitive. It's not about beating the other person.
Mm-hmm. It's
more about like, I should have done better in that corner. I should have pedaled on the straightaway and I probably would have got 6th place or whatever. Right. I mean,
right.
I don't know. And I think he's kind of finally getting there. So I'm excited to see. And he's just smooth. He's so fun to ride with.
That's awesome. Did he enjoy having mom around, or was he not, some teenage boys don't enjoy having mom around.
No, he enjoys it. We're awesome. We're a tight family. So when mom gets out there, it's always great.
That's amazing. That's cool. Well, I didn't see much of Beckham's run. But Tatum did call it like at the end of Beckham's run, and she's like, "Oh, he was right on, on top of this kid, the next rider." And it's like, "Oh, dang it, that means he got passed." She's like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna tell everyone else that he was right on top," because that's what she thought, what he thought had happened. But Beckham as well had another big, like just big improvement weekend. It was so nice for him to ride with his friends, and he and I both, like we talked about cornering. That's, that's kind of his nemesis as well. But he had fun, and he just had a good time, and that really was really, really important. So I just can't talk a lot about Beckham's run because the GoPro failed on his run. So no one even got to see it. It's just in his own memory, and that's good. But for Oliver, I did get to follow Oliver through this course, and he started out good. He had a really strong upper section, and as we were coming down through the first two big corners, the flat corner, he washed out and went over the bars, and he was fine. I was going to try for this podcast to have the little video of him going over the bars, but I couldn't get it to come through. And mostly it's just to remind myself that of what our boys, how they sound when they wreck. When it's actually a pretty mellow wreck, because immediately they say, "I'm okay." And all three of our boys did that. Oliver's the last one too. I think Becca might on occasion, but I kind of want to remember that in life, that when we pop up, we say, "I'm okay," and life's fine. And he did. He popped up and he said, "I'm okay." And so we jumped back on the bike, and his lever actually had fallen down or bent down a little bit, and it bothered him enough that he pulled over and said, "I need to get this fixed." So we fixed that. And then his seat was crooked pretty bad, and so then we stopped and fixed that. And then the lower half of the race course, my chain just blew up, and so I just let Oliver he didn't even know that I wasn't behind him anymore. But it's funny because you see the last three corners, and Tatum made a little video of Oliver coming through, and she's like, "Go Oliver, go Oliver, go Oliver," and then you hear her say, "Where's your dad?" And it's because I was so far back. But I got to do a chainless half run, which is it's not that fun. I don't know why people want to do chainless runs. I guess maybe it's just like the experience of keeping your bike's momentum and not having to use your pedaling power, which maybe there's joy in that. I just don't know. But just even getting the bike started was kind of a pain, and then all of a sudden, like, I'm used to that tension in the chain. We just used to having that tension there, and it wasn't. Maybe I should try learning how to jump with the chain off. I think that might help me. That's kind of a side note. That was a little revelation that just came to me right now.
Okay.
But anyways, it was just interesting. Unfortunately, he had the worst run of his whole 3 days on that race run, and that's okay. That's totally fine. But I just want to remember that I'm okay. And that's kind of that little feel good moment for me was that, hey, we crash, we wreck, but if we get up and we're okay, and we really are, then we just keep on going.
In Friday practice, I wrecked on the same corner that he did.
Yeah.
And it was weird. It's just like on Friday it was super dry and dusty.
Super.
But coming into the corner, and I took a little bit higher line than I should have. And next thing you know, I'm over the bars. I'm laying in the bushes. It's like, what just happened?
Right.
No injuries, no bike injury, nothing like that. It was just same thing. I'm okay.
Yeah. Well, and that's what happened is he took the high line, and I was thinking, oh, this is a strange line to take, but maybe he's got something figured out, because he actually has taught me some lines, which is weird.
He's fun to watch.
He is. Yeah. He's taken some lines that I wouldn't think were very good, and then I try him, and it's like, oh, this is much, much better. So on that corner, that wasn't the line he should have taken, because it totally messed him up. But yeah, it was an odd corner. That was the one section I liked this course a lot. I really did. But some of those corners were just weird.
I think it was my favorite course of the year.
Yeah. Of the three we did there, for sure.
Yeah. The second one was a lot of fun.
It was.
That rock shoot was kind of just hang on. I enjoyed that a lot. But
right.
This one had less drops, stuff like that, but more techie corners, which I don't know. It was kind of it was a mix of a little of everything from the top to the bottom.
Yeah. My favorite part is those little tables at the bottom. Like, I don't know. I just really like those. I think they're super fun.
Yeah, they're a blast.
I think that everyone our better riders that we ride with would all say that they're the lamest section, but maybe that just says that, I don't know. I like lame things.
It's the dad in us.
It is. It's just mellow. It's just fun. Those were our families.
Oh, there it is.
Dang, you look good.
Look at that kid though. That's the best part of this entire picture.
That's right. He's like, wow, look at him.
And that's that last table going into that corner.
I need to look it up and see if I have any pictures in there. And look at the Loam Lander, bright and proud. It looks so good.
Let me get out. Look.
Dude, that actually is that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That kid though, who's just like, oh, hashtag fat dad can jump.
No, look at him.
Yeah. Anyways.
That's rad. Well, let's talk about Jake. Jake was killing it.
He was fast. That new bike.
So fast.
His confidence on the new bike. Jumped from 24s to 27.5s. I mean, there's so much. Yes, he flies. And then he's the one that you sometimes can catch Jake on the straightaways, but I think it's because he's not trying.
Right.
As much as I feel like it's me catching up to him, I don't think it is. And then he hits 2 corners and he's 50 feet ahead of you out of 2 corners. You're just like, oh, I don't get it.
Insane. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. And this was a great course for his skill set. In fact, Cat 2 rode the same course as the Pro, Cat 1, Junior Pro. So it was a technical run. I mean, and we talked about all the injuries that happened. That was 90% of them were on that course. Mm-hmm. And he was flying. Jake came away with a 3rd place, which is pretty awesome. So some of the other Loamers, we had a great Loam Lander crew that was there, and the results from the Loam Lander group were impressive. Super impressive. At the
end, everything. It's like the entire year, entire season.
Right. Chris Jorgensen, number 1 overall, the whole race series in his Cat 2 age group.
He won. Did he win also the first he got first, and then he also won the overall? Right?
No, he didn't get first in this one. I believe he got 4th in this one.
Okay.
But he came in first overall for the series. He came in, I think, first in the first 2 and second in 1. And I don't know. He had an amazing race series.
Yes. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris, for making us, the Cat 3 dads have another dad to look up to. We appreciate that. And for being so cool. Talk about just fun dad to hang out with. Chris is super fun.
His brother, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Is it brother or brother-in-law?
Brother-in-law. I can't remember. We should find that out.
Of family.
Yes. The family brother.
There you go.
Yeah. There we go.
He's a blast too. He's a good guy.
He was. It was just, I don't know. It was fun to get to know the Jorgensens better. I mean, we've gotten to know them better over every race. And it was nice to see and meet Cynthia's dad. He's up from Ecuador, Paraguay, Argentina, somewhere in South America. And he was super cool, super nice guy.
Let's keep on talking about their camp, because Kevin dropping through the waterfall
looked amazing.
Cynthia got it on video. He lands and he's drifting pretty much the next corner and a half, but with full control. Like if I was doing that, I'd be on full brakes and scared. And he just rode it out.
Right.
Like the skill set. And of course, Caden hurt his shoulder, so he did not race the weekend, but he still
didn't race, but got 3rd overall
for missing an entire race. So that was really cool.
Congratulations, Caden. That was awesome. And I mean,
Blake's such a great attitude and out there riding and having fun with the kids and just great family.
Just amazing. Right. And Kevin has had a great series as well. I mean, he had an injury that took him out of at least 2 races. And to come back, I mean, it's not an instant comeback, regardless of what the injury is. And so to get back to speed and get back and really push yourself on a hard course that a lot of people are getting injured on, that's awesome. So
he started 3/4 of the season on a trail bike. So he didn't go to a big downhill sled until recently.
Right. Yeah. In fact, this wasn't his first downhill race on Innocent.
No, I can't remember. Either Idaho or Montana was. I can't remember.
Right. Regardless, he represented a Loam Lander like we want to be represented, with class and just crazy amount of skill. It's awesome.
Definitely.
So I mean, I don't know. There was so much more that happened. Brian, yeah, that's right. Brian Donor came in 2nd in his age group.
Yeah.
which is awesome. Cat 2.
And his age group is tough too,
Yep. Well, that's the one that Chris won. That was his group.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, I mean, it was crazy weekend. Loam Lander was everywhere. Loam Lander's really starting to be recognized, and people know who we are now, especially in that community.
And with our industry partners, sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're good.
Our industry partner, Sweet Lines, was all over the podium as always. And they're just such a great group of riders, and they donate so much of their time to the trails. And so shout out to them. We have Galbraith Gravity, which, like I mentioned earlier, our logos on all their jerseys, and they're all over the podium. And, they're like ants on an anthill. There's so many of them too, just all over the place. And just shout out to both of them for just being great industry partners this season. Looking forward to continuing to grow that and see where we can go with that, and just good people.
Oh, for sure. Both of them received special awards for their, contributions that they've made to the racing communities. And both are building some really strong, good organizations.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, so it was just a good weekend, and it was just so, I don't know, so good to be out playing with our friends.
Some other shout outs for our industry partners, right? Obviously Troy Lee Designs, huge supporter of the season for us. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Protecting our noggins and giving us the best gear in the world.
Right.
Thank you. Shout out to you guys. Etnies came on towards the end for our flat pedal riders, me and you, and Cruz got his brand new Etnies, didn't get to race.
He didn't, but you know what? He did wear them for his practice run, and he's a convert. I mean, like, we've been riding the other shoe brand for a long time, which we have had a lot of trust and a lot of good times in. But he said some really complimentary things about these new shoes that he's 13, so he pretty much says what he's thinking, whether it's pleasant or not, he'll tell you. And so, yeah, that was cool.
So I think it's Cruz, Keller, and myself are all riding these at Needs Semi Pros. Yeah. They're awesome.
That's awesome. Well, and while we're doing a shout out, we have an honorary Loamer that definitely needs to be shout outed to. And that's Dylan Stark. Dylan is a close friend of Loam Lander, and he came in third at Proving Grounds.
We would have been there. We would have been there if we didn't have Northwest Cup.
Absolutely. That is a feat. Like, it's amazing. And he was the newcomer to that series, and to get third, and there were incredible, cast of riders there. Like, these are just some athletes beyond athletes. And so congratulations, Dylan.
Also the Hard Award. So he got third and the Hard Award. Took a hard fall over the bars, trying to front flip.
Wow.
So
did you watch that video?
Again, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, they show that one a lot. But then him off the shark fin that they changed the name to the Stark fin.
That's awesome.
He got off the very tip of it, and that huge flat table. It's just and there's so many beautiful shots that I don't know. So amazing photographers out there, obviously, because it turned out amazing.
Wow. It was just, I don't know. It's just cool to see someone that you have a closer tie to do cool rant and like just really cool things that I know I could never do. But, I don't know. Maybe it's a little pride moment.
Really, really cool things coming in the near future.
We do.
Really cool. I'm so excited.
We do. And I don't know. It's just, we could spend a lot more time talking about the excitement that's coming up.
Let's get him on a podcast.
We do.
He'll do it.
Let's do it. Yeah. It'd be awesome. Well, Kevin, I think we've far exceeded our normal time on this. So we probably better wrap this up so that we don't, bore our audience too much. But thanks for helping that, race weekend be such an amazing one. I'm glad that we were able to do it together. And thanks for being there.
Shout out, guys. Thank you for everything. Again, medics, again, thank you.
Absolutely.
And, that's good for me.
That's awesome. Well, with that, Loam Lander, we are out.